The sound of laughter echoed across the naval ship as they mocked her again. Could this woman hold a secret that shocks them all? Day after day, she scrubbed the same spot on the deck while they whispered behind her back. Just another nameless worker in faded coveralls. Then the helicopter landed. The Admiral stepped out, scanning the immaculate formation until he saw her. His face changed instantly. What happened next silenced everyone on board. Welcome to Graceful Valor Stories. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story of hidden honor resonates with you, consider subscribing for more tales of extraordinary people in ordinary disguises. Talia, 42, kneels on the cold deck of the USS Intrepid at dawn, methodically scrubbing the same section she's cleaned for 3 straight days. Her movements are precise, economical, military in their discipline, despite her civilian maintenance uniform. A jagged scar peeks from beneath her collar, disappearing under her regulation-pulled hair. The early morning air carries a brisk chill as the massive vessel cuts through the Pacific waters. Most of the crew remains below, but Talia prefers these quiet hours before the mockery begins. Her knees ache against the hard surface, but she shows no discomfort as she works the brush in perfect circles. Deck which is at it again, Enan Breenage mutters to his companions, Ensigns Thorne and Alvarez as they sip morning coffee nearby. Same spot like she's looking for buried treasure. The 3 young officers lean against the railing, their crisp uniforms contrasting with Talia's worn coveralls. They make no attempt to lower their voices, secure in the knowledge that maintenance staff are beneath their notice. Maybe she's just simple, Thorne suggests with a smirk. Maintenance said she specifically requested this assignment. Who asked to clean the same deck space every morning? Alvarez chuckles, swirling his coffee cup. Probably another washed-out vet who couldn't hack civilian life. They get these contractor jobs, thinking they're still part of something. Talia continues her work, seemingly deaf to their mockery, though her knuckles whiten imperceptibly around the brush handle. Her eyes remain downcast, focused on removing non-existent stains from the already immaculate surface. Lieutenant Commander Zarina Okafor approaches, her crisp uniform a stark contrast to Talia's faded maintenance coveralls. She moves with purpose, clipboard in hand, inspecting the morning preparations. If you 3 have time to critique our cleaning staff, you have time to review the diplomatic protocols for tomorrow's VIP inspection, she states, her tone leaving no room for argument. The ensign straightened immediately, coffee cups lowering. Yes, ma'am. They respond in near unison, casting final glances at Talia before dispersing to their duties. Okafor remains, her gaze lingering on Talia. She tilts her head slightly, studying the maintenance worker with newfound curiosity. Have we met before? She asks, her voice softening. Something about you seems familiar. Talia pauses her scrubbing, looking up with carefully neutral eyes. I do not believe so, ma'am, she responds, her voice carrying unexpected authority despite the difference in her words. Okafor murmurs unconvinced. How long have you been aboard the Intrepid? 3 weeks, ma'am. And before that, various assignments. Civilian contractors work mostly. Okafor nods slowly, still studying Talia's face. Carry on, she finally says, turning to continue her inspections. When the deck clears, Talia retrieves a worn photograph from her pocket, shielding it from view with her body. The image shows a special operations team in unmarked uniforms standing before a helicopter in desert terrain. The faces are weathered, determined, bound by something deeper than standard military camaraderie. Her weathered finger traces over one face before she quickly returns it as footsteps approach. A passing sailor barely glances her way, but Talia resumes her cleaning with renewed intensity, scrubbing with such force that her arms tremble slightly with the effort. The morning transitions to afternoon, the sun climbing higher as the ship hums with preparations for tomorrow's inspection. Sailors polish brass fittings, dust obscure corners, and review protocols with unusual diligence. The upcoming visit has transformed the routine of the vessel, creating an atmosphere of tense anticipation. Could this inspection reveal her true identity? In the officers' mess, Commander Ellsworth addresses a gathered group while Talia silently cleans nearby tables. Her presence was barely registered by the assembled officers. Admiral Tavender's inspection tomorrow isn't just ceremonial, Ellsworth states, his voice carrying authority earned through decades of service. It's critical for our upcoming deployment. Full dress uniforms, spotless decks, and total protocol compliance. Intelligence reports possible security concerns, so everyone stays vigilant. The officers nod in understanding, though one junior lieutenant raises his hand. Sir, with respect, why all the fuss for another brass inspection? We've had 3 in the past year. Ellsworth's expression hardens because 5 years ago, Admiral Tavender led the Strait of Hormuz extraction that saved 37 hostages when everyone else deemed it suicide, he explains, his tone sharpening. The mission commander was lost, posthumously awarded the Navy Cross. The Admiral carries that weight daily, and we will show proper respect for both his rank and his sacrifice. The cleaning bucket crashes to the floor beside Talia, soapy water spreading across the polished surface. All eyes turn to her, the sudden noise jarring in the formal briefing environment. Problem with the equipment? Ellsworth asks coldly, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Talia stands perfectly still, her eyes momentarily unfocused before snapping back to the present. No, sir. Apologies for the disturbance, she responds, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands as she kneels to collect the scattered cleaning supplies. The officers return their attention to Ellsworth, but Lieutenant Commander Okafor watches Talia with increased interest, noting how the maintenance workers' composure had fractured at the mention of the Hormuz mission. After the briefing disperses, Okafor approaches Talia again as she mops up the spilled water. You know your hands. Okafor observes quietly. Those are not cleaning calluses. Talia pauses briefly, then continues wiping the floor. Long career in maintenance develops different kinds of wear, ma'am. I imagine it does. Okafor replies, her tone suggesting she's not convinced. Strange coincidence that you dropped your bucket exactly when Commander Ellsworth mentioned the Hormuz mission. Accidents happen, ma'am. Indeed, they do. Okafor concedes, though her expression remains thoughtful. Carry on. Talia nods respectfully and continues cleaning as Okafor exits, her shoulders relaxing slightly once alone. She completes her afternoon duties with the same methodical precision, avoiding unnecessary interaction with the crew, fading into the background as effectively as her plain coveralls allow. Evening brings a shift change, but Talia remains aboard, her maintenance duties extending later than most. As the night crew takes over essential operations, she moves through the quieter sections of the ship with purpose that belies her humble role. The security camera in corridor B7 swivels mechanically, scanning the empty hallway on its programmed rotation. When it reaches the end of its arc, a slight pause occurs, a 5-second window in its coverage pattern. Talia slips through this gap with practiced timing, accessing a side corridor that leads to a restricted terminal room. The night watch officer should be stationed here, but a scheduled maintenance alert has temporarily drawn him to the engine room. Talia has exactly 7 minutes before his return. She accesses the terminal with unexpected expertise, bypassing standard security protocols with practiced keystrokes. Her fingers move across the keyboard with the confidence of someone familiar with military systems, not the hesitation of a civilian contractor. The classified database opens under her commands, and she navigates directly to files marked Hormuz Operation. Security footage captures her focused expression as she downloads information to a small drive concealed in her palm, her eyes scanning the documents with intense concentration. A notification appears on screen. Access alert. Classified material. Talia dismisses it with a series of commands that shouldn't be in a maintenance worker's knowledge base, effectively erasing her digital footprint from the system. As footsteps echo down the corridor, signaling the returning officer, Talia completes her task and slips away through a maintenance access panel, leaving the terminal exactly as she found it. The security camera resumes its normal pattern, recording nothing unusual in the empty room. Back in her small quarters, shared with 3 other maintenance staff who are currently on duty, Talia sits on her narrow bunk and examines the data she's collected. Her expression hardens as she reviews communications logs, mission parameters, and intelligence reports from 5 years ago. She opens her worn photograph again, this time allowing herself to study it longer. 8 faces look back at her, their expressions serious but determined. 7 of them are marked with small crosses in the margin, leaving only Talia unmarked. Almost there, she whispers to the photograph. 5 years in the shadows ends tomorrow. She tucks both the drive and photograph into a hidden compartment in her mattress before lying down fully clothed, staring at the ceiling with eyes that refuse to close. Tomorrow will bring Admiral Tavender aboard, and with him the culmination of a mission 5 years in execution. Sleep eventually claims her, but her body remains tense, hands occasionally twitching, as though still scrubbing away stains that run deeper than the deck's surface. The night passes with agonizing slowness, each hour marked by the ship's bells. Each chime brings the morning inspection closer. By 0500, Talia is already awake, preparing for the day with the same methodical precision she applies to her cleaning duties. She reports to the maintenance supervisor, receives her daily assignment, and returns to the same deck section she's claimed for 3 days running. As the sun begins to illuminate the horizon, she kneels once more, brush in hand, her gaze occasionally lifting to the empty sky, where soon a helicopter will appear. One way or another, she thinks, today I become visible again. Morning brings perfect formation on the immaculate deck. The crew of the USS Intrepid stands at rigid attention. Dress uniforms catching the sunlight that gleams off polished buttons and badges. Sailors line up in precise rows. Officers positioned according to rank and station. A living display of naval discipline awaiting inspection. Talia remains in her maintenance coveralls, deliberately scrubbing at the periphery of the ceremonial area. Unlike the proud sailors in formation, she kneels with her brush and bucket, continuing her work as though the day holds no special significance. Yet, her eyes constantly flick toward the horizon, watching for approaching aircraft. The atmosphere crackles with tension. Junior officers make final adjustments to their uniforms while senior staff review protocol one last time. Commander Ellsworth paces the length of the formation, scrutinizing every detail with critical eyes, occasionally barking corrections at unfortunate sailors who fail to meet his exacting standards. Even today, she cannot stop cleaning, Breenage whispers to Thorne from his position in formation, probably hoping for a tip from the Admiral. Thorne suppresses a smirk, eyes forward as protocol demands. Maybe she will get lucky and he will drop some spare change for her. Silence in the ranks. Lieutenant Commander Okafor hisses, her sharp hearing catching the exchange. Her gaze lingers on Talia for a moment before returning to the approaching sound of helicopter rotors that grows steadily louder. The distinctive thump of rotor blades cuts through the morning air as a sleek military helicopter appears on the horizon, growing larger as it approaches the vessel. The aircraft hovers momentarily before descending to the designated landing area. Wind from its rotors creating ripples across the otherwise calm water surrounding the ship. Admiral Roar Tavender, 58, emerges from the helicopter, a commanding presence even from a distance. His uniform displays rows of ribbons that tell stories of decades of distinguished service. Silver hair cropped in military precision frames a face weathered by responsibility and difficult decisions. He moves with deliberate authority, flanked by aides who maintain a respectful distance. The ship's captain steps forward, rendering a perfect salute that Tavender returns with equal precision before they exchange formal greetings. The inspection party begins its methodical progress across the deck. Tavender occasionally stops to address individual sailors, asking pointed questions about their duties and responsibilities. Talia continues her work, head bowed, but her scrubbing slows as the inspection party draws nearer. Her hands grow still as Tavender's voice becomes clearer, a voice she has not heard in 5 years, except in her dreams and nightmares. The inspection proceeds with military efficiency until they reach Talia's section. Admiral Tavender stops mid-sentence while addressing a junior communications officer. His composure, maintained through countless inspections and ceremonies, fractures visibly. The color drains from his face as his eyes lock with Talia across the crowded deck. For a moment, neither moves. The ship seems suspended in time. The gentle rocking of the ocean beneath them, the only movement in an otherwise frozen tableau. Admiral, the ship's captain, inquires, concerned by the sudden interruption. Tavender raises a hand, silencing the captain without taking his eyes off Talia. Continuing without me, he orders his aides, his voice carrying unexpected emotion. I need a moment. He strides directly toward Talia, leaving his bewildered entourage behind. The crew watches in confusion as the distinguished admiral breaks protocol to approach a maintenance worker. Whispers ripple through the formation despite strict discipline. Talia slowly rises from her kneeling position, abandoning her brush and bucket. Her back straightens into perfect military posture, shoulders squaring as she stands at her full height. The transformation is subtle but profound. Civilian difference giving way to something else entirely. The deck falls silent as crew members sense the sudden shift in atmosphere. Even the most oblivious sailors recognize that something extraordinary is unfolding before them. "Commander," Tavender says, voice thick with emotion when he reaches her, using a title that seems impossibly mismatched with her maintenance coveralls. In one fluid motion, Admiral Tavender snaps to attention and delivers a formal ceremonial salute, the kind reserved for heroes and the fallen. His expression contains recognition, respect, and something deeper, a mixture of disbelief and profound relief. Gasps and murmurs spread across the deck. The ensign who had mocked her daily stared in shock. Lieutenant Commander Okafor steps forward slightly, her earlier suspicions confirmed in dramatic fashion. "Commander Talianvaya, SEAL Team 8, Tavender announces, voice carrying across the now silent deck. "The finest officer I have ever served with and the reason I stand before you today." Talia returns the salute with perfect precision, her cover as an ordinary cleaner shattered in an instant. She holds the salute a beat longer than protocol requires, her eyes never leaving Tavender's. "I thought you were dead," Tavender says quietly when they both lower their hands. "The reports, the memorial service, your name on the wall, all of it." "That was the intention, sir," she responds equally low. "We need to talk privately." Tavender nods, understanding immediately. "Captain," he calls, turning to the ship's commanding officer, who has approached cautiously. "I require your wardrobe for a confidential briefing immediately." "Of course, Admiral," the captain responds, confusion evident despite his professional demeanor. "May I ask who will be attending this briefing?" "Commander Nv," Tavender states, gesturing to Talia. "Lieutenant Commander Okafor and yourself. No one else." Security level crimson. The captain blinks, recognizing the highest classification protocol. "Understood, sir." "This way, please." As they move to depart, Ensign Breenage steps forward impulsively. "Sir, there must be some mistake. That is just a maintenance worker. She cleans toilets and scrubs decks." Admiral Tavender turns slowly, fixing the young officer with a stare that has wilted far more seasoned personnel. "Ensign, when you have earned half the commendations represented on Commander Nvaya's service record, you may question her identity. Until then, remember that appearances can be deceiving, especially in naval intelligence operations." Breenage pales, shrinking back into formation as Talia passes. She acknowledges him with the slightest nod, neither vindictive nor gloating, simply recognizing his existence for perhaps the first time. The small group moves below deck, leaving behind a buzz of speculation and disbelief. The formerly rigid formation dissolves into clusters of sailors exchanging theories about the maintenance worker who commanded an admiral's respect. In the captain's wardroom, Tavender secures the door personally before turning to Talia. The formal inspection demeanor falls away entirely as he steps forward and embraces her briefly. An unprecedented breach of military protocol that speaks volumes about their shared history. 5 years, he says, stepping back. 5 years we believed you died in that extraction. Your team, your family, everyone mourned you. There is a star on the memorial wall with your name under it. I know, Talia responds, her voice steady, but carrying the weight of those years. The deception was necessary. Lieutenant Commander Okafor watches the exchange with growing understanding. You were Ghost 6, she says suddenly. The commander who led the Horma's extraction. I studied the redacted case files at the academy. Talia nods once, confirming the identification. My team extracted the hostages successfully. Admiral Tavender was among them, though that detail never made the official reports. But your team was ambushed on extraction, the captain interjects. All hands lost when the secondary helicopter was hit by missile fire. That is the official record. The official record is incomplete, Talia responds, turning to Tavender. Sir, I have spent 5 years tracking the intelligence failure that led to that ambush. It was not enemy action that killed my team. It was betrayal. Tavender's expression hardens. Explain. The extraction coordinates were compromised before we deployed. Talia states. Someone knew exactly where we would be and when. I survived the crash but realized immediately that returning openly would alert whoever had betrayed us. So you disappeared. Okafor concludes, professional admiration in her voice. Deep cover completely off the grid. I needed access to classified systems across multiple vessels. Talia explains, maintenance contractors move between ships without scrutiny. Nobody notices the person cleaning their office or scrubbing their deck. And you found something? Tavender states rather than asks. Talia nods, reaching into her pocket to produce the data drive. I have been gathering evidence across 17 vessels in the fleet over 5 years. The intelligence leak originated from this ship, from someone with high-level clearance. The captain inhales sharply. That is a serious accusation, Commander. It is not an accusation. It is a fact supported by evidence, Talia responds, her tone leaving no room for doubt. The transmission that revealed our extraction coordinates came from the USS Intrepid's secure communications array at 0300 on April 17, 5 years ago. Tavender takes the drive, examining it briefly before looking back at Talia. Who? Before she can answer, a sharp knock interrupts them. Commander Ellsworth's voice comes through the door. Captain, Admiral, security concerns require your immediate attention on the bridge. Tavender and the captain exchange glances. Talia's expression remains neutral, but something flickers in her eyes. One moment, Commander. The captain calls back before lowering his voice. Should we continue this discussion later, Admiral? Tavender studies Talia's face, reading something there that the others miss. No, he decides firmly. Commander Ellsworth can join us. His input on security matters would be valuable. Okafor moves to open the door, admitting Ellsworth, who enters with brisk efficiency that falters when he notices Talia, his eyes narrow in confusion. Why is maintenance staff present at a classified briefing? He demands, looking between the captain and Admiral. Not maintenance staff. Tavender corrects. Commander Talia Na, Naval Intelligence, and former SEAL team leader. Ellsworth freezes momentarily before recovering. There must be some mistake. Commander N died in the Hormuz incident. I reviewed the casualty reports myself. Did you? Talia asks quietly. Or did you write them, Commander? The room temperature seems to drop several degrees as understanding dawns on the captain's face. Okafor shifts subtly, positioning herself between Ellsworth and the door. Admiral Ellsworth begins, his voice carefully controlled. I believe this woman is an imposter. Naval Intelligence should be notified immediately. I agree, Tavender responds, his tone deceptively casual. Lieutenant Commander Okafor, please contact Naval Intelligence. Inform them we have located the source of the Hormuz's intelligence breach and request immediate security protocol Indigo 7. The color drains from Ellsworth's face. Indigo 7. That protocol is for high-level treason cases. Precisely. Talia confirms, meeting his gaze directly for the first time. 5 years ago you sold out my team for reasons I intend to discover. Today those reasons no longer matter. Admiral Tavender's quarters buzz with tension as military security officers escort Commander Ellsworth away. The confined space feels charged with unspoken emotion as Talia, now wearing a hastily provided commander's uniform, sits across from Tavender and the ship's leadership. The gold insignia on her collar catches the light, seeming almost foreign after years in civilian coveralls. 5 years of silence, Commander Tavender says, studying her with a mixture of respect and lingering disbelief. The official record lists you as killed in action. Your name is carved into memorials. Your family mourned you. Talia's expression remains controlled, but something flickers in her eyes at the mention of family. That was necessary, she responds, her voice now carrying the full weight of her command experience. After Hormuz, I discovered the intelligence failure wasn't accidental. Someone knew those coordinates were compromised before we deployed. Ellsworth, the captain states, the name carrying new weight after recent revelations. He was part of it, Talia confirms, but not acting alone. The operation was too sophisticated for a single officer, no matter how well placed. She retrieves the data drive from the table, connecting it to the secure terminal in Tavender's quarters. Files appear on screen, a meticulously organized collection of communications logs, financial records, and classified transmissions. For 5 years, I followed the evidence trail across 17 vessels in the fleet, she explains as the officers lean forward to examine the data. Moving as maintenance staff gave me access no intelligence officer could achieve. People speak freely around those they consider invisible. Lieutenant Commander Okafor scrolls through the files, her expression growing increasingly troubled. These financial transfers routed through 7 different accounts all originate from known shell companies associated with arms dealers in the region. Ellsworth was selling intelligence, the captain concludes grimly. Not just intelligence, Talia corrects. He was selling military operations. My team wasn't the only one compromised, just the most visible failure. Tavender's hands form fists on the table. How many operations? 11 confirmed, Talia answers, bringing up a new file. 3 extraction missions, for intelligence gatherings, 2 forward base establishments, and 2 supply route securities. All experienced unexpected resistance or ambushes. Most were attributed to improving enemy intelligence or bad luck. The casualties? Tavender asks, though his expression suggests he already fears the answer. 27 dead, 14 wounded, 3 captured, Talia states, her clinical tone belied by the tension in her shoulders. My team accounted for 7 of the dead. The captain rises abruptly, pacing the limited space. This goes beyond treason. This is mass murder for profit. And it continues, Talia adds, highlighting recent data. The payments haven't stopped. Someone else has taken Ellsworth's place in the information chain. Okafor's sharply. Someone else on this ship. That's what I came to confirm. Talia says, the most recent transmission matching the pattern originated from the Intrepid 3 days ago, just after I came aboard. Tavender leans back, the weight of command heavy in his posture. You've been hunting this network for 5 years. Why reveal yourself now? Why not remain undercover until you identified all participants? Talia meets his gaze directly. Because in 4 days, Operation Kingfisher deploys. 64 personnel, including 3 SEAL teams, will insert behind lines using intelligence verified by officers on this vessel. If the pattern holds, they're sailing into an ambush. Silence falls over the room as the implications sink in. Lives hanging in the balance, a ticking clock, and a network of traitors still operational within their ranks. We need to identify Ellsworth's accomplice immediately. The captain finally states, Lieutenant Commander Okafor, coordinates with Naval Intelligence. Full security protocols, communications blackout except through approved channels. Sir, Okafor acknowledges, rising to her feet. One more thing, Talia interjects. Whoever we're looking for knows I'm here now. My cover is blown. They'll either run or accelerate their timeline. Then we use that. Tavender decides. We make you visible. Impossible to ignore. We force their hand. 2 hours later, the ship's intercom system crackles to life, calling all hands to assembly on the main deck. Rumors have already spread throughout the vessel, speculations about the maintenance worker who received an Admiral salute. The crew gathers with unusual promptness, curiosity overriding the typical reluctance toward unexpected formations. When Talia emerges onto the deck, the whispers intensify. She wears a commander's uniform now, her hair pulled back in a regulation bun rather than hidden under a maintenance cap. She walks with military precision, her bearing transformed completely from the hunched posture of the woman who scrubbed the deck that morning. Admiral Tavender addresses the assembled crew, his voice carrying across the deck. This morning, many of you witnessed something unusual during inspection. It is time you understood why. 5 years ago, Commander Talian Val led the most successful hostage extraction in recent naval history. The operation that saved 37 civilian and military personnel from certain execution, myself included. The crew's attention sharpens, many eyes widening as they connect this revelation to the morning's events. Commander Nvia's team was ambushed during extraction and all were presumed killed in action. Tavender continues, today we discovered that presumption was deliberately engineered. Commander Nvia survived and has spent 5 years conducting one of the most remarkable deep-cover intelligence operations in naval history. He turns toward Talia, gesturing for her to join him. Her investigation has uncovered a network of treason reaching into the highest levels of several vessels, including the Intrepid. Commander Ellsworth has been detained in connection with these findings, but accomplices remain at large. The assembled sailors exchange shocked glances. Greenidge, Thorne, and Alvarez stand rigid with mortification, unable to meet Talia's gaze as she takes position beside the Admiral. Effective immediately, Commander Nvia assumes a temporary role as acting security officer, Tavender announces. All personnel will provide full cooperation with her investigation. That is all. As the formation disperses, the atmosphere remains charged with disbelief and speculation. Talia stands on the deck, fully visible after years in shadows, watching reactions carefully. Somewhere among these sailors is at least one more traitor, and her exposure has started the clock ticking. Lieutenant Commander Okafor approaches, tablet in hand. Security protocols are in place, Commander. Naval intelligence teams will arrive within 4 hours. Communications are restricted to essential operations only. Talia nods. Good. What about the list? I provided 7 officers with access levels matching your parameters. All currently under surveillance and Kingfisher on hold pending your investigation. Admiral Tavender contacted Fleet Command directly. Talia's shoulders relax fractionally. Then we have time. Let's review the communications logs from the past week. Focus on anyone who contacted Ellsworth after the inspection was announced. The next 48 hours pass in a blur of interrogations, data analysis, and mounting tension. Talia works tirelessly, sleeping in brief increments when absolutely necessary, her focus unwavering. The identity of Ellsworth's accomplice remains elusive despite narrowing suspects to 3 officers with both the access and opportunity required. On the third morning, Lieutenant Commander Okafor enters the secure communications room where Talia reviews overnight surveillance reports. Her expression carries news before she speaks. We found something, she announces, placing a datapad before Talia. Lieutenant Vassar attempted to access restricted communications at 0200 this morning. When denied, he used Ellsworth's secondary authorization code. Talia examines the logs, her expression hardening. Did you detain him? That's the problem. Okafor responds. He's gone. Scheduled for morning watch, but never reported. His quarters are empty. Personal items missing. He's running. Talia concludes, rising immediately. Or worse, attempting to complete whatever operation was planned. Full security alert. All decks. I want every compartment searched. The ship transforms into a hive of focused activity as security teams methodically search each section. Hours pass with no sign of the missing lieutenant until a junior communications officer reports an unauthorized access attempt in the secure transmission bay. Seal all exits, Talia orders, moving swiftly through the corridors with Okafor and a security team. He's cornered and knows it. That makes him dangerous. They reach the communications bay to find the hatch sealed from inside. Override protocols fail to respond, indicating internal damage to the control systems. He's destroying evidence, Talia realizes, and possibly transmitting final intelligence before capture. We need to breach immediately. The security team prepares equipment as Talia studies the schematics of the communications bay. There is a maintenance access panel in the adjoining storage compartment, she tells Okafor, used for climate control servicing. How do you know that? Okafor asks. Talia's expression flickers with grim humor. I spent 3 days cleaning it last week. Within minutes, Talia navigates the narrow access tunnel, emerging silently into the communications bay where Lieutenant Valser frantically operates equipment. His attention focused on the main entrance where the security team attempts to breach. Step away from the console, Lieutenant. Talia commands, her service weapon steady in her hands. Vassar spins, his expression transforming from surprise to hatred. You should have stayed dead, Commander, he spits. You have no idea what you're interfering with. I know exactly what I'm interfering with, Talia responds, advancing slowly. Treason, murder, and the betrayal of everything that uniform represents. You think it's that simple? Vassar laughs bitterly. You think we're traitors? The real betrayal is sending good people to die for politics and oil. We're just balancing the scales. By selling out your own teams, Talia demands, disgust evident in her voice. My people trusted the intelligence you verified. They died because of that trust. Collateral damage, Voser dismisses. The bigger picture required sacrifices. Not anymore. Talia states as the security team finally breaches the main entrance, flooding into the compartment. It's over. 2 weeks later, Talia stands on the main deck in full commander uniform. Ribbons and medals restored to their proper place after years in storage. The crew assembles before her, a formal ceremony to mark her official reinstatement to active duty and new command assignment. Admiral Tavender presents her with the Navy Cross, the decoration posthumously awarded 5 years earlier, now properly bestowed upon the living recipient. For extraordinary heroism, not only during the Hormuz extraction, but in the 5 years of undercover work that followed, he announces. Commander embodies the highest traditions of naval service. As the ceremony concludes, Talia addresses the assembled crew, her gaze finding the young ensign who had once mocked her daily. Leadership isn't about rank or recognition, she tells them, her voice carrying across the deck. It's about duty performed without expectation of reward or acknowledgement. Remember that when you encounter someone whose story you don't yet know. As the crew disperses, Enan Breenage approaches hesitantly, clearly uncomfortable, but determined. Commander, I owe you an apology, he begins stiffly. My behavior was unbecoming an officer. Talia studies him for a moment, seeing past the embarrassment to the potential beneath. No, Enan, she responds firmly, but without malice. You owe yourself higher standards. Start by seeing people, not positions. The most valuable lessons often come from those you least expect to teach them. She turns away, facing the horizon where another naval vessel approaches, sleek and purposeful against the endless blue. Her new command earned through sacrifice few would ever fully comprehend. The past is cleaned away, she says to Okafor, who stands nearby. Now we rebuild. Okafor nods, understanding the multiple layers of meaning in those simple words. Your team would be proud, Commander. Yes. Talia agrees, squinting against the sunlight.